Hey, it's Jeremy from LATT SEO. In this video, I'm walking through a site audit of cartoli.com to see what can and should be done from an optimization perspective to help rank better, generate more traffic, and generate more targeted, high-value leads and revenue from SEO and AI. And the reason why I want to work through this process is when this is done correctly, it works extremely well at generating high-value, high-ticket leads for you, especially if you're B2B. And here are a couple examples of a client of mine, web forms for their business. And you can see here is somebody looking for hundreds of their products. Here's another one from Conagra, a $12.3 billion company, looking for their product as well. Here is a quote form from NASA, found them from a Google search. And here's another one from SpaceX looking for a quote. So when this is done correctly, it works extremely well. And the value here and the purpose is targeting keywords that actually make sense to that you want to rank for, of course, and that are conversion and transactional focused. So from this perspective, what I want to do is look at specifically this category here, electrical testing equipment, and see what can be done from an optimization perspective and what kinds of content optimizations and updates they should make, and then go into how you can do this a couple different ways. So the first thing would be looking at the site itself in Ahrefs here, or whatever tool you want to use. I like Ahrefs because it gives backlink data here as well, and also then trend search data, keyword data. So what you can see here is DR is domain rating. This is on a 0 to 100 scale. Essentially means how strong or how authoritative a site is. And then if we look here at this chart, and then this data here in the upper right, you can see search data. Looks like traffic and keywords are trending downward. And you can see here as well, the rankings and organic positions trending downward. So something's going on here. And I want to look at what potentially can be done to help them optimize better. And if we look at their keywords here, we can dig a little bit into just broad keyword opportunities. What I want to do is filter US, and then we'll look at commercial transactional. And I already am planning to look at electrical testing equipment, but I want to see if there are any others we could potentially look at as well and see what's going on with just general page structure, URL structure, things like that. So as I'm looking through here now, we have additional keyword opportunities that we could look at. And part of an SEO project would be to make sure that we're targeting and optimizing all of this correctly, not just picking an individual page like electrical testing equipment. It would be looking at all of these pages, all categories, collections, all products, and making sure that the entire process is set up correctly for both ranking in search and AI. Now, I'm not seeing the electrical testing equipment here. So let's just go to, I'll just go to this search here. I've already done this. And what we're looking at here then is a couple different things. This is all of the ranking websites for this key phrase, electrical test equipment. Now, one quick note here is as you look at the keyword opportunities for all of these, Cartoli here is optimized for electrical testing equipment. And if we look at the best keyword search volume is electrical test equipment here. So very subtle nuance there. And search and AI are smart enough, and there's enough data to understand that test and testing are probably closely related. But in general, it's always best practice to optimize for the keyword or phrase that you want to rank for that has the most search volume and is most relevant for what you're looking for. Now, one other side note here on this page, if you look here at the top, a couple things from a design and an SEO perspective. Electrical testing equipment, this is an H1 element. And I've talked about the structure of content having H1s, H2s, H3s, that content hierarchy, making sure all of that is set up and structured correctly is vital for making sure that search can understand how your content is structured. The other thing then is looking at this here. So this electrical testing equipment is in an H1, you can see right here. And then if you look at electrical testing equipment right here, this is an H2. Generally speaking, you would not want to use the exact same keyword in H1 and H2. You'd want to optimize this for something slightly different. Maybe have test equipment here instead, or something, or test equipment here, and change it up a little bit. You do not want to generally stuff the same keyword or phrase, especially a 3-keyword or 3-word phrase in multiple of those elements without some additional modifiers. So one quick note there. Now, the things that are going well on this page here is you have a little bit of content at the top here, which is nice. And then information of, or product list here, and then additional information here. This works extremely well. And this, like I mentioned before, this is the general structure and strategy that helps you rank and get get leads like this, because these, when you're optimizing for pages that are targeted specifically for a keyword or phrase and optimized for bulk orders or wholesale orders or things like that, it helps you rank for people who are looking to make large purchases from you. So the next thing I want to do is look at this content here and look in Neuron Writer. And Neuron Writer, I've talked about in a number of other videos. If you have not seen any of those, what the tool does is looks at the top ranking websites in Google for a keyword or phrase. So I've put electrical test equipment in here. And then what you do is you put your title and your description in here, and you can optimize this or change this around based on what you want to have, and check how well optimized it is based on what the competitor sites are doing. And then this gives you the recommended, or excuse me, the content score, and then also what the highest ranking sites are doing, and then gives you a recommended word length and recommended keywords and phrases. Let me hide my video. Recommended keywords and phrases over here on the side, and recommended headings to use in the article as well. So if you are planning to do content yourself, you can just look here and figure out which of the terms, H1s, H2s, should be used in your content. If you're planning to use AI, you get a list of all of the terms you can use as well. And I will show you an extra prompt you can use in AI to build this content and do it extremely well. Now, let's paste this content in here and see what score we get. So just out of the box here, and I'll clean this up slightly, but it doesn't have a major impact. Just out of the box, it looks like they have a decent content score already, which is nice. And again, this tool does have gaps. It's looking primarily at H1s, H2s. They do have word length here, and they do have keywords within the content. A couple things that are missing though, that could really help would be, you look at the keywords here, test equipment looks a little over, you can see test equipment in red, looks a little over optimized here. Same with some of these analyzer electrical testing equipment. So this phrase here, they may actually be over optimized for this phrase. And you can see it's expected to have that in there 1 time, they have it 5 times. And the other thing that I'm seeing missing here is they do have these sections here for some of these other categories. But if you look at the page, it was set up like these in these subcategories here. So sometimes the internal linking doesn't work well if you have elements like this, especially a scroll bar like this. So the best practice for this would be adding contextual internal links within your content that allow people to better understand your products and how they relate to what they're looking for. So we go back to Neuron here. What you can do is type a prompt similar to what I'm doing here. So write an 800-word article about electrical test equipment. Here are the H2s, H3s to use. And what I'll do is I'll copy these in here. Here are the keywords, phrases to use naturally within the content and the expected number of uses. And then I'll go back to Neuron here and we will copy this and then terms with suggested uses. And what this does is gives us, you can see here, multimeter is expected 1 to 3 times in this content. And then if we go do one more here for the extended list, paste that in there. Now, here is the extra part. This is where you can really, if you're using AI for content, this makes it way easier for you to build content and set it up structurally so that it's easier for you to rank. the last part to do would be to find internal links that would make sense for you to link to. And there are a number of different ways you could do this. One is to use a Google site operator search. And what you could do is go to Google, type in site, colon, and then your domain, and then space plus space, and then in quotes, you would add a keyword or phrase. So in this case, we want to find pages that are relevant for electrical or contain electrical testing. So I've opened these up here. So what I'll do is I'll just copy these links for these pages here. So this is resistance testers, and then add relevant internal links contextually to the following pages. And then I'll just add these three in here for now. And again, you could do this in much more detail and take a little bit longer time to do this. But the benefit of internal links is it allows and helps search understand how your content relates to each other, and makes it easier for your customers to find related products or related categories or related information as well. So then now write an extremely well optimized piece of content. It's 800 words long. And we'll see what this output looks like. But like I said, they do have already a decent content score here of 73. So the other gaps that are very likely impacting their rankings significantly, like I said, are the linking. They're DR 4.3, so extremely weak compared to, if we look at the competitors here, Triplet is 37, 30, 71, 96, 80, 85, 34. But I also have said before that DR is not an official ranking metric. And you can see here, a 30 is outranking a 71 and a 96 and an 80. So it doesn't mean you're going to rank better. But in general, DR is a good metric of how strong your domain is, especially related to other sites. And if you're competing against 30 plus and you're at a 4.3, it's going to be much more difficult generally for you to rank. So let's check the output here. And I don't see the internal links. They might add them at the way end. Yeah, they didn't add them. You forgot my internal links. Give me the output in HTML so I can copy it to my site. And let's see what happens here. Now, the other note I've mentioned before is if you do not want to use AI content, that's totally fine. You don't have to. You can do this a number of different ways then. Number one, you can just use this data to build an outline manually even, and then write the content yourself. But then you'll have an idea as to what keywords and phrases should be used in heading elements, what keywords and phrases should be used throughout the content, and how to best structure that, including the content length. Now, the other way then would be to use AI to build you an outline. So you can put all of the same information in and say, I would like an outline of this, or for this page, here's the title, content length, H2s, H3s, here's keywords to use, and it builds you a nice bulleted list of what should be included in each of these paragraphs. And then lastly would just be doing a content build out like this with AI, and then of course edit with human touch to make sure that number one, it matches your brand, and number two, it actually is understandable and makes sense for the industry. So let's see how this one looks now. Okay, it looks like they are including internal links now that I asked for the HTML output. So once this is done here, and again, part of AI content is reading through it and removing some of the very noticeable AI elements and customizing it for your brand voice and all that type of stuff. So this is not a video on how to write AI content. It's more of how to use AI to help you generate content, and from a very high level perspective. So if we go back here and let's go to the code element here and paste that in. Actually, let's delete all of this because that I think had the initial stuff as well. So we'll paste this in here and see what happens. So 21, 97. So if you look here, if we load I didn't save the other one, but this current version is a 97. And you can see here, all of these keywords and phrases are actually used just about. And if you look at the headings, the H1 electrical test equipment practice tools for accurate work. This, again, you could change. You don't have to have it like that as well. And then it still keeps the same score. And lastly, again, this is just one metric, but I like to, and I view optimization of let's get everything set up as well as we can to give search and AI the most reasons and validation to rank our website as well as possible. And when you're setting up your content and structuring your content and optimizing your content effectively, that makes it easier for search and algorithms to understand your content and how it should rank. Hopefully you got some value from that video. If you did, subscribe to my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I plan to continue posting more videos like this, explaining how you can best utilize SEO to rank in organic and AI to help you generate more revenue from your search efforts. And that's it. I'll see you on the next one.